Perhaps the most famous or infamous of all the world's mysterious places is the Bermuda Triangle. For decades, this stretch of ocean covering over 500,000 square miles, located between Miami, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda, has baffled scientists, experienced sailors, and even military investigators.
Planes disappearing, various kinds of strange lights being seen, a whole bunch of weirdness, all conglomerating into this very tight corner of the Atlantic.
Ships that have shown up absolutely empty, no sign of any struggle, and yet the crew has just vanished.
This is something that's very real. They exist in records, and now that they're all gone in fair weather, that is not supernatural phenomenon to me. That is something unexplained.
What caused ships and planes to disappear without a trace? Why has aeronautical and navigational equipment stopped working or changed course by itself? Historical shipping records show that the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle are much older than many people realize. Ever since the earliest days of oceanic exploration, sailors have witnessed strange sights.
Really, the awareness of the Bermuda Triangle started with Christopher Columbus. Being such an esoteric navigator and a well-respected sailor, his log traversing to the New World is very accurate. And it turns out, just as Columbus got into the area known as the Bermuda Triangle, he recorded having compass malfunctions. The following night, he saw a large fireball hit the ocean.
He saw strange lights, he saw strange weather phenomena happening there. So it's definitely a case that the story of the Bermuda Triangle is not just some modern or some urban myth at the threshold of the 21st century. It is as old as there are accounts of people going into that area.
About 450 years after Columbus, on December 5th, 1945, the U.S. military experienced the Bermuda Triangle's most perplexing mystery. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 U.S. Navy torpedo bombers flew from a naval base in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on a routine training exercise. But not long into the 2-hour mission, all 5 planes were suddenly gone. The mystery was compounded when the Navy sent out a rescue plane, and it too disappeared. 6 planes, all flown by skilled pilots, had vanished into oblivion.
That struck everybody as very odd. This was now the modern era. We have radar, we have radio. Still, 5 aircraft vanished.
Now the question is, where have all of them gone? It really is as if they have been snapped out of our reality into something else. And of course, what that something else is, that's the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle.
Over the years, few have lived to tell of any strange anomalies that have occurred to them in the Bermuda Triangle. But American pilot Bruce Gernon is an exception. In 1970, Gernon, his father, and a business associate were flying from the Bahamas to Florida when Gernon reported seeing a strange cloud directly out in front of their plane. Then, as he approached, Gernon claims the cloud formed a donut-shaped hole, or vortex.
The tunnel was huge at first, but then it started getting smaller rapidly. And when I penetrated into the tunnel, an incredible thing happened. These lines instantly formed. It was like looking down a rifle barrel because the lines were swirling slowly counterclockwise. I encountered some intense electricity. There were like flashes going on and off. And all I could see was this strange, grayish, yellowish fog. I call it electronic fog. I noticed that my instruments were malfunctioning, and at the same time, I'm feeling this unbelievable sensation.
Gernon says when he finally exited the tunnel, he radioed Miami Air Traffic Control, but they couldn't find his plane on their radar screen.
And then, about 3 minutes later, the radar controller came back on the radio, and he's all excited. he had identified me over Miami, and I couldn't believe it because I'd only been flying for 33 minutes. It should have been more like an hour and 3 minutes.
Could such a discrepancy in time and location really happen? And could extraterrestrials be using this kind of gateway to travel to Earth? According to Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity, it is possible.
Through Einstein's principles of being able to bend space using a gravitational pull, it's very possible that extraterrestrial craft could somehow get a higher charge of energy from these locations like the Bermuda Triangle, which allow them to do a burst of energy, if you will, a warp speed, and harness some type of extra particles or energies from these locations to get them where they're trying to go.
At the North Palm Beach County Airport, located 20 miles outside of West Palm Beach, Florida, author and researcher David Childress and professional pilot Bruce Gernon are about to retrace the exact path of a mysterious flight that Gernon made nearly 5 decades ago. It was a flight over the region of the Atlantic Ocean known as the Bermuda Triangle, during which Gernon claims to have experienced an inexplicable shift in time.
So Bruce, it was 1970, and you were flying out of Andros. Who was with you on this flight?
My dad and our business partner was with us, and it was a routine flight, but this is the area where I took off and started my ascent. I was at 1,000 feet, just like we are right now. I started climbing straight out over that bank right there. Here it is.
That it? Okay.
I don't know, it looks kind of eerie here. There's nothing much around, is there? Very remote area of the Bahama Bank. Whoa, what was that?
Did you feel that?
There it is, right there.
That was the weird.
Did you catch that?
Something we should maybe. Okay, it's out of control. It's okay, guys. We just hit a rough spot. We just got a little turbulence here.
It's turbulence.
How about that? Yeah. Wow. I have to admit, I'm actually glad that we didn't vanish.
That's right in this exact area here where it did that.
Oh, a premonition maybe.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, no. All right, so did you think that anything strange was going to happen to you that day?
No, I had no premonitions, but this strange cloud formed right in front of us, and it was like a lenticular-shaped cloud, but it was just sort of hovering there, and it did look a little strange. As soon as I got over it, it started expanding, and then before you know it, I'm inside the cloud. And so now I can't see anything. Visibility was near zero. There was lightning in there. There was flashes of light. These flashes got more and more intense the deeper we went in it. It got darker too. It's almost like night and day. My co-pilot, my dad, he said, maybe we ought to turn around and go back to Andros. I didn't want to turn around and go back through this cloud. That was freaking me out, you know? That would have been worse.
There was no turning back, you felt.
I said to my dad, well, hold on, not yet.
Rather than turning back for land, Bruce decided to pull out of the cloud that the plane had become immersed in and continued on his flight path. But when he came out of the cloud, he realized that the situation was even more incredible than he first thought. His plane was surrounded on all sides by a giant storm, and there appeared to be no way out.
I felt like we were trapped inside this strange storm. And then I noticed a big tunnel about 1 mile wide and 10 miles long. So I said, all right, we'll go through that. You know, my dad agreed. When we entered the tunnel, an incredible thing happened. A series of clouds formed a swirling line that was slowly rotating counterclockwise. It felt like we were hydroplaning. Somehow we were at zero gravity, we were floating and going forward somehow. And I came out of the tunnel, I looked back behind, and I watched the tunnel collapse. The radar controller comes back on the microphone, and he's yelling really loud. He's all excited. He says, I got an airplane directly over Miami Beach. So I look at my watch. I got another 30 minutes to go here. I'm at least 80 miles east of you guys, I tell them. But then I look down, and now there's Miami Beach right below me. I traveled 100 miles in only 3 minutes.
100 miles? In 3 minutes? Bruce's plane would have to have been traveling 2,000 miles per hour to cross that distance in such a short amount of time. A speed that his small plane was not even remotely capable of.
But the people on the plane, except for a little bit of mist and fog around them, they don't really notice anything strange is happening.
They didn't notice anything strange, but all their watches were set back 20 minutes. I believe now that what was happening was I was seeing the fabric of time. And I believe that is what creates the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida. December 5th, 1945. 5 Navy Avenger bombers flying due east on a routine training mission encounter something strange over the Bermuda Islands. About an hour and a half into the flight, Squadron Leader Lieutenant Charles Taylor sends a radio transmission that his 2 onboard compasses have become inoperable.
Everybody got totally confused as to where they were. They were totally lost in an area where they should not have been lost. A whole squadron of US Navy aircraft just vanished. The fact that it was in this particular area obviously has given rise to the theory, could they have been abducted?
3 hours later, a rescue aircraft, a TBY, Mariner with a crew of 11 aboard, disappeared with no trace. And what that caused is one of the most extensive search and rescue operations in the annals of the United States Navy. And they never found a life preserver, a piece of a wing, or anything from those aircraft, nothing. And to this day, we have no clue as to what happened.
But Flight 19 is only one incident in allegedly hundreds that have claimed victims in what is commonly referred to as the Bermuda Triangle. And according to ancient astronaut theorists, this site, which spans a 500,000 square mile area between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, plays host to numerous unexplained physical and metaphysical phenomena. Strange energies that may help to explain why pilots, sailors, and ship captains enter the area and are never seen or heard from again.
So you have to wonder, what's happening to these people? Is there something about the Bermuda Triangle? It's some kind of portal that aliens are using to come and go through hyperspace? And suddenly, you and your yacht or you and your plane are sucked into some other dimension. And you're not coming back.
The Bermuda Triangle is interesting for a number of reasons. First of all, it's not just one plane which goes missing somewhere. This is several planes which all disappear. Now the question is, where have all of them gone? It's not just the case that on occasion one of them is found. Really, an awful lot of what has gone missing in the Bermuda Triangle has never been seen, has never been heard of.
If an aircraft is flying over or a ship's sailing the ocean at the wrong time, could it pull them down underneath the water? So, we're looking at possibly not abductions into the sky, but actually below the ocean.
Ancient astronaut theorists say the legend of the lost city of Atlantis may be connected to the possible abductions in the Bermuda Triangle. According to legends, the island of Atlantis was an enormous ancient power that thrived as far back as 9600 BC.
The story of Atlantis, which is one of the most famous mysteries from antiquity, the earliest sources we have on it is Plato. And the city was known for being a sort of a technological marvel in its own right. And at some point, for reasons that are not entirely clear, there was an eruption of some sort, and the city disappeared.
We have no archaeological artifacts from Atlantis, and we don't know if it's just mythology. So is it possible, either through evil intentions or by accident, they sunk to the bottom of the ocean in the Bermuda area? And that's why we're experiencing, or pilots experiencing, all kinds of electrical interference when they fly over the Bermuda Triangle.
Might the ruins of Atlantis lie below the waters of the Bermuda and Bimini Islands? And could this help explain the disappearances and possible abductions associated with the Bermuda Triangle?
Atlantis was destroyed in a day and a night. They've just completely vanished. Is it possible that they were all mass abducted and left the planet?
Could it be possible that the Earth has hidden vortexes that are causing unexplained disappearances and may have even swallowed up the lost continent of Atlantis? And if so, might this help explain the fate of other so-called lost civilizations, empires whose populations and technologies have also mysteriously disappeared? The Bahamas, December 4th, 1970. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, pilot Bruce Gernon departs from Andros Island, bound for Palm Beach, Florida, just north of Miami. It's a route that he's flown many times before without incident. But this flight will be unlike any other.
Since I've been flying for 47 years now, I've had a lot of flights in that area. But this experience, I'll never forget. It all started 100 miles east of Miami when I found myself surrounded by this strange storm. Time started changing instantly. And I believe I actually got to see the fabric of time itself as I watched the tunnel rotate. When I reached the other end, the tunnel collapsed. And I reached the shoreline of Miami Beach. It only took 3 minutes and 20 seconds to fly 100 miles. I should have been able to fly only 10 miles, approximately, not 100 miles.
I think that what he must have experienced is perhaps some kind of a time shift, or he entered into an anomalous vortex that perhaps was some kind of a time portal. We don't know, but it's a very curious example of time travel.
Could it be that the route Bruce Gernon traveled led him into a portal through time? As far as ancient astronaut theorists are concerned, this incredible possibility is even more intriguing because of the area where it happened. The Bermuda Triangle.
The Bermuda Triangle is really located off of Florida. The northern point of it is the island of Bermuda. It then goes down to essentially southern Florida and then out into the Bahamas. And this is an area that has historically had strange phenomena.
While Gernon was fortunate enough to have survived his harrowing experience, many ships and aircraft traveling through this region have disappeared without a trace. In one extraordinary case that occurred on December 5th, 1945, 5 Navy Avenger torpedo bombers, known as Flight 19, all went missing at the same time.
All 5 of their compasses were not working correctly, and they had 2 navigational instruments that they could use, and they were not working properly either.
The planes disappeared from radar, and their last communication consisted of nothing but eerie static. The Navy immediately sent a team to search for the missing bombers, but they never recovered any debris.
Is it possible that the Bermuda Triangle is subject to portals or vortices that create these mysteries? What we do know is that it is a place of intensive electromagnetic activity. And this is something that we can tell from the fact that so many aircraft and ships experience problems with their instrumentation.
Might the Bermuda Triangle be an electromagnetic hotspot where portals capable of manipulating time open and close? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and they believe that these portals may help explain some of the strange, otherworldly activity reported in the area.
Many UFO sightings and more modern UAP videos that have been released show unusual flight dynamics and capabilities of these, whatever they are. Well, maybe they're creating portals in our universe and in our time, in our space, that they can move in and out of at will. There's no reason to say they can't until we know what they are.
Is it possible that visitors from other worlds are utilizing portals in the Bermuda Triangle to travel through time and space? And if so, do such portals already exist naturally? Or are they being created with some type of extraterrestrial technology?